Okay, stop me if you've heard this one before. A Ditto walks into a bar, except the bar is destroyed, the bartender is a Tangrowth wearing glasses, and the humans have been missing for 50 years. No? That's not the setup for a bad joke. That is literally the premise of the most confusingly cozy game coming to the Switch 2. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Kyler Ray. Today we're talking about Pokemon Pokopia, the game that looks like Animal Crossing but secretly has the lore depth of a Dark Souls item description. If you've been living under a Geodude, you might think Pokopia is just a cute little farming sim where you water berries and pet a Pikachu, and you'd be right. But thanks to a massive new leak from our friends over at Centro LEAKS on X, we now know that this little spinoff is actually packing some heat. We're talking a Pokedex size that rivals mainline games, new forms that look like they haven't slept in a decade, and a setting that is suspiciously dead. We have a lot to get through. We need to talk about the number 300, we need to talk about why Pikachu looks like a ghost, and we absolutely need to talk about why Espeon is the most important Pokemon in this entire leak. So, grab your coffee or your berry juice or whatever you drink in the apocalypse, and let's dive in. First, let's address the milk tank in the room, the Pokedex size. According to a new post by Centro LEAKS, the Pokopia Pokedex is going to feature at least 300 Pokemon. The leak shows a screenshot where Espeon is listed as number 284. Now, I know what you're thinking. Kyler, 300 isn't that many. I have 300 Rattata in my Pokemon Go storage right now. But context is key here. This is a spin-off. Usually when Game Freak or their partners make a spin-off, they give us like 50 Pokemon and tell us to be grateful. Pokemon Snap on the N64 had 63. Even Legends Arceus, which was a massive open world game, launched with around 240. So for a cozy life sim to drop with 300 plus monsters, that is wild. That means the sheer variety of creatures you can harass into doing your gardening is massive. And remember, Game Freak loves to round up. If Espeon is 284 and we assume they're grouping evolutions logically, we are easily looking at a final count pushing 350 or maybe even 400. That is sword and shield based game numbers. This confirms one thing. Pokopia isn't a side project, it's a time sink. They want us in this game for hundreds of hours. Now let's talk about who is in this 300, because names matter. Obviously we have the starters, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander. You can't have a Pokemon game without them. It's seemingly against the law. In Pokopia, they aren't just for battling, they are your employees. You use Bulbasaur to pull weeds, you use Squirtle to water crops, you use Hitmonchan to smash rocks. Finally, Hitmonchan has a job. The economy is healing, but the leak gives us some spicier names. We've got Heracross, Growlithe, Mawile, and Meowth. We've got the really big hitters like Lucario, Dragonite, and Tyranitar. Wait, actually, Larvitar was seen. So we assume the big angry rock Godzilla is coming too. We also saw confirmations for the Poliwag family. Someone specifically asked for Poliwhirl and the leaks delivered. If you're the one person whose favorite Pokemon is Politoed, this is your year. And then there's the weird stuff. Trubbish is in the game, yes, the bag of trash. In a game about beautifying nature, you can befriend a garbage bag. I appreciate the realism, but the most interesting part of this roster isn't the returning faces, it's the new faces. The variants that are specific to Pokopia. Let's talk about Pikachu. I think that's how you say it. That's the internal code name for a new Pikachu form that looks, well, it looks like it passed away. It's pale, it's ghostly, and the developers literally call it Unfortunate Pikachu. This thing looks like it's seen the end of the world. It's got this melancholic vibe that completely clashes with the bright, happy colors of the rest of the game. Then we have Moslax. It's a Snorlax that slept so long, it became a topiary's garden. It's covered in moss and flowers. It's honestly beautiful, but again, it implies this thing has been immobile for years. And we can't forget Smeargarou, the colorful Smeargle and Professor Tangrowth. Yes, the professor in this game is a Tangrowth. A literal bush with arms is giving you the tutorial. This confirms the premise that humans are basically extinct in this region, or at least very, very scarce. And this leads me to the theory that ties this whole 300 Pokemon roster together. The post-apocalyptic Kanto theory. The leaks have all but confirmed that Pokopia takes place in the Kanto region, but in a ruined future. Think about it. We have leaks describing Fuchsia City was a dried up wasteland, Pewter City is an abandoned mine, and Viridian Forest, the leak describes it as a never-ending burning forest of ash. Excuse me, a burning forest of ash in my cozy farming game? This recontextualizes the whole 300 Pokemon list. These aren't just wild Pokemon, these are the survivors. The reason we have Trubbish and Grimer might be because the pollution took over. The reason Pikachu looks like a ghost is, well, let's not think about that too hard. The fact that you play as a Ditto is the cherry on top. You are a shapeshifter pretending to be a human in a world where humans are a myth. You are cosplaying as an extinct species. That is some near automata level existential dread wrapped in a cute Nintendo package. But let's pull back from the abyss for a second and talk about gameplay. How do these 300 Pokemon actually work? In Pokopia, you don't catch them in balls, you befriend them. And since you are a Ditto, the main mechanic is copying their abilities. You see a Charizard, you don't just ride it, you become the flamethrower. You see a Pidgeot, you copy its flight. The leaks mention that Ditto has an energy meter for these copy abilities, which you refill by eating berries. So the gameplay loop is eat a snack, turn into a Machamp, build a house, eat another snack, turn into a Dragonite, fly away. It's the dream life, honestly. With 300 Pokemon, the potential for puzzle solving is huge. If I need to cut down a tree, I assume I need a Cyler or a Farfetch'd. If I need to light a dark cave, maybe I need that Litwick or chandelier that was spotted in the leak. It also raises the question of shiny hunting. If there are 300 distinct Pokemon models wandering around the overworld, will we see shinies? If I see a blue Ditto, is that just my cousin or is it a rare spawn? Let's circle back to the X post by Centro. They mentioned at least 300. The screenshot showed Espeon at number 284. In the standard Pokedex, Espeon is number 196 in the national dex. This means Pokopia has its own custom numbering system. They aren't using the national dex numbers. This is a curated list. This is great news because it means they didn't just copy-paste the Kanto dex, which is only 151. They handpicked 150 other Pokemon from later generations to spice things up. We saw Goodra, we saw Dreepy, and this mix of generation is vital. If I was stuck in the apocalypse with only Gen 1 Pokemon, I'd lose my mind. I'd need my overly designed Gen 8 dragons to keep me company. Also, shout out to the leak mentioning Shellos, both the East and West Sea variants. That implies we have different biomes. We know there's a beach area, a forest area, and thanks to the burning forest leak, a fire hazard area. So what's the verdict? This leak changes my hype level from mildly interested to day one purchase. If Pokopia was just a small 50 Pokemon farming sim, it would be fun for maybe a weekend. But a 300 plus roster, a dark ruined Kanto setting, a ghostly Pikachu, this is shaping up to be the most ambitious Pokemon spin-off since Legends Arceus. It feels like Game Freak and the co-developers at Omega Force are finally understanding that we don't just want the same gym battle formula every year, we want to live in the world, even if that world is a burning pile of ash where humans are maybe extinct. I'm ready to build my base. I'm ready to recruit 300 weird little guys, and I'm definitely ready to find out why Professor Tangrowth is wearing a lab coat. Who made the coat, Tangrowth? Who made it? That's all for the breakdown today. I want to know your thoughts. Does the number 300 impress you, or are you hoping for the full 1,000? And which Pokemon do you desperately need to see in the post-apocalypse? Personally, if I don't see a Bidoof rebuilding civilization with his bare teeth, I'm refunding the game. Drop a comment below, hit that like button if you enjoyed the update, and subscribe so you don't miss the next time a leak ruins our childhood. I'm Kyler Ray. Catch you in the next one.